Alright, what's going on everybody? Today I'm going to show you how to change your coolant temperature sensor in your 1995 Ford Mustang. Anything with a 5 liter, so GT, GTS, you have a V6 or you swap the 5 liter in, whatever the case, I'm going to show you how to change your coolant temperature sensor. It's easy. So the main reason why you'd be changing your coolant temperature sensor is once this thing gets warm, it starts to run a little rough. Maybe the sensor isn't right, or it's wrong, or it died over time, or just something like that. It's an old car, parts go wrong. And these are a pain in the ass to diagnose because sometimes they don't throw check engine lights. It's 1995, so it's pre-OBD2, at least this model year is. I think some of them at that point were OBD2 or not. This is still OBD1 with the diagnostic port, and you need a special Ford pinout tool to look for engine codes, which I have, and there's none in the system, but it runs like crap once it gets to operating temperature. Maybe in another couple videos I'll show you how to change things like thermostats and stuff, but for right now I'm going to change the coolant temperature sensor, and it's really easy. If you're a car guy, you already know what you're doing, but this video is going to be for more of like people who are trying to be more handy and do things for themselves that maybe they're not like fully antiquated on how cars work, but you don't want to have to pay someone to do it, and it's just going to be a little cheap and easy thing to do. And yeah, let me show you what to do. This right here is the sensor. That's what we're going to take out. So I'm pretty sure, let me see here, there's a clip on the top, so go ahead and get a flathead screwdriver and just pull up on that clip just a tiny bit. Sometimes it gets stuck on there. Geez, all right, it's really on there. I gotta move the camera. So you're gonna need a 25mm wrench. I already got it on there and loosened it up. Just loosen it up just to crack it open, but don't take it out all the way because there's probably coolant in there. But what you're going to do is get your new sensor. This is the brand that I'm using. It was cheaper and affordable. Here's the part number and stuff and the barcode just in case you want to get one. And then drop it on the ground. Now you don't really want to drop those on the ground because God forbid you actually break it or crack it, it throws off how it works or something like that, so don't drop it on the ground. But the reason why I say get this out first is because you're going to want to put a little bit of Teflon around the seal, because this is being threaded into the cooling system and it probably needs a better seal than the threads that are already on it. Teflon tape that comes and rolls like this is pretty much what you need. So if you look it up online, look up Teflon tape, and it should look something like this. Now you don't have to go super crazy, but put like a layer or two on there and get it pretty even. Focus. Get it pretty even, and just get it ready to go. That's what it should look like. Also, before you take it apart, check your connector and make sure your connector actually plugs in and it's the proper connector. It looks right, so I'm gonna plug it in. Go ahead and get a drain pan of some kind and just slide it underneath the car. We're gonna probably try and do this as fast as possible so we don't lose a lot of coolant. All right, this is the old one, and it doesn't look too bad. It looks like it actually had like some anti-seize and some kind of like a thread locker on there, something like that. It doesn't look terrible, but this is probably the original one to the car, so it's just good to change. And who knows, this could be the problem that I've been chasing. Yeah, it is. It's either been replaced before and it's from Fumoco, or this is the original one. So yeah, so I'm gonna assume that this is the original one. I could probably look up the part number, but yeah, I'm going to keep it in the box just in case and hold on to it. But for now, that's that. All right, you don't need to do this, but I'm gonna do it just to be extra. So grab a coolant funnel and we're gonna bleed the coolant. You know, if you lost coolant, which you probably will, you're gonna need to bleed the system again because there's air in that part specifically. And I don't like where that sensor is, and I'll show you why. Now, the reason why I don't like where that sensor is because it's part of like a crossover on a coolant tube that runs through the engine versus like a sensor that's on a coolant passage, maybe, I don't know, I'd say on the block or where the water pump is, and somewhere where there's like a main flow of coolant. I'm not saying that there isn't a main flow, but it looks like it's going from the heater core hoses through the engine, and it's just in an awkward spot because I think it's just, you know, I think air can get trapped in that spot, because even when I took that off, like only a little bit of coolant came out. And yeah, it could be because I had this cap on, but you know, still, I think that it should have been in a more direct feed line. And like also not when the thermostat opens, because that's connected to the heater hose on the outer hose. So I believe it is, it looks like it is. And if that's the case, it only does it when the thermostat is open. Which I guess makes sense because it adjusts for the compensation of the thermostat being open. But on cold starts, when part of it gets hot and the other part, I don't know. It's up in the air on whether or not I think that actually works, but who knows? Maybe it should be in a different place. Maybe it shouldn't. There's also like a sensor here that plugs into the overflow. There's so many sensors on these things. You know, it's good to just honestly at some point just change them all and get rid of the crap you don't need. So I'm gonna start it, let it bleed, and yeah, you don't need a coolant funnel. You can just keep the cap open and watch the bubbles come out, and it'll start to get hot and start to like overflow a little bit, but that's okay. I'm gonna start it and let it run, see if it changes anything. This thing actually runs really good when it's cold. As soon as it gets hot, it starts to run lean. White smoke starts coming out the back, and it just starts to run like poop. So that's why I assumed maybe it could be a coolant temperature sensor thing. And that belt is walking. See how that belt's walking side to side? I gotta fix that. I think that pulley's not good. So who knows? Maybe I'll fix that too in another video. You can already see it's starting to bleed out a little bit. I wonder if the thermostat is slightly stuck open, because it shouldn't really change color yet or be flowing yet, unless, I don't know, there is a little weep hole in it, so who knows. A little micro air is coming out. Hopefully it's not a bad head gasket, but I'm gonna let it bleed and I'll let you guys know how it goes.